What's on your leaders list right now? Like, what's your primary thing that you're working on? I know you said the marketing platform for the new company, but is that the primary focus?
That's
That's it?
really the thing that I'm working on the most. My other half, my husband, he's really working on systems to be able to, we've identified the things that are taking his time so that he can step away more, the things that don't wait till, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get worked on. So that piece is underway with him. But for me, I've been focusing quite a bit on just getting the marketing going for the new business. And then the other thing is looking at the impact of AI on the bookkeeping business.
Yep.
There's a tremendous amount of hype around it right now. I went to a conference in June and I was like, oh man, this is here now. And we had missed the year before because of a family situation. And I'm like, I feel like I lost 10 years by missing last year. But then I started digging in and I'm like, it's just being sold really well. It's not quite where, I don't think it's quite where it needs to be from an accounting standpoint yet. So it'll be there soon, but I didn't feel as behind once I dug in and started doing trials and that kind of thing. So
Interesting. So you have run pilots and you found that it's just not ready for prime time. And are you looking at it as it running functions, or do you look at it as thought partner, or do you look at it for data analysis?
The Claudes, which is my favorite, the Chat GPT, there's a lot that can be done there, and we're utilizing that in our business. But what I saw at the accounting technology conferences were, here is the new AI native general ledger that's gonna, knock QuickBooks off the top. And there was 3 of them that were just talking about all of this great performance and, accuracy and all of the stuff. And I'm like, oh, they're talking my language. But then when I got in there, I'm like, it may work for an individual, but for it to work in a firm environment, they're not there yet. So
interesting.
Yeah. So
well, that's the hype cycle, right?
Yeah.
We're in that mode where everybody has the silver bullet, and
trying to be first.
Not always the case.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now let's talk a little bit about, we kind of understand where you're coming from. You're in the trenches. You do the work just like everybody else. So let's talk about Profit First and share some of those principles and why they make such a difference for specifically small to medium-sized businesses, anywhere from, the folks that listen are usually, running companies anywhere from 25 employees to 500 employees.
Okay.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, Profit First works for any size business. In fact, I started it when it was just me, and it made a huge difference in how I grew, because I was able to use the principles as kind of the milestones for how I grew. Profit First is a cash flow management system. It's made to work with our behavior. We can all have spreadsheets and try to do the forecasting, and we do that for our clients and we help them with that. And there's definitely a place for it, but it's a time-consuming thing. And Profit First, if you can get that set up and working within your business, it just gives you a lot of data by the way you run your business. It's based on a principle called Parkinson's Law. That's one of the primary foundations of it. Parkinson's Law was created in the 1950s by a British naval historian. He learned that no matter what resources showed up in the British Navy, as he studied it, those resources were used and absorbed, and they, there was not a surplus that stayed around. So what he learned was that no matter what resource you have, whether it's time or money, we use what we got. And so if you've got a whole lot of you got a brand new tube of toothpaste, is what I like to talk about when I speak. If you got a brand new tube of toothpaste, you're not worrying about how much toothpaste you use. If you're down to the end and that's the last you got, you get a little more careful about it. So
Right.
Parkinson's law helps us understand by putting in place some scarcity within our business finances. So you use bank accounts much the same way that maybe your grandmother, my grandmother did. They would set aside cash for, this is my grocery money, this is my money for Christmas, etc. You put dollars into your different bank accounts like you would an envelope system to fund a particular part of your business. The reason it's called Profit First is the first thing that you fund is your profit, because the disease that we all have as entrepreneurs is paying ourselves last and plowing all of the money back into the business, which creates really a false dynamic for how healthy the business is. So by separating out bank accounts for profit, for owner's pay, for tax, and for your operating expenses, and for my clients, we have an account for inventory as well. That helps you know when you get $100 in, how much you can put in each of those bank accounts based on, we dive in, we look at the performance of the business, but say it's 30% that needs to go into your inventory account. Then you put that $30 there, you put the $15 in for your tax, you put the $15 in for your profit and pay, etc. And so then you live within your means for what you have set aside. And what that typically means is that there's less money in operating expenses, and then people have to tighten up and they have to become more frugal. They have to become more innovative. They have to become more efficient. And, all of those things are really good drivers for our business, because if we're not doing it, somebody else is going to come in and figure out a way to do it cheaper than we are.